Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. The most exciting news for action movie fans this summer is that the legendary Will Smith has made a powerful return with the sequel to his iconic series after 4 years. Let's dive into this action-packed movie. In Miami, United States, in 2024, a sleek black sports car is tearing through the streets. Inside, ace police officer Mike and his partner Marcus are on a mission. Today is Mike's big day, but at this critical moment, Marcus insists on stopping to buy a soda. Despite his urgency, Mike gives in and lets Marcus run into the convenience store with strict instructions to be back in 90 seconds. As Marcus is checking out, a gangster with bad timing decides to rob the store at gunpoint. Just as the 90 seconds are up, Mike bursts through the door to find Marcus in a standoff. The scene is both frustrating and funny for Mike. Relying on their strong partnership and quick wit, the two officers quickly take down the robber and leave in style. Mike finally makes it to the wedding, where, in front of their family and friends, he marries his girlfriend, Chris. As Mike's best friend, Marcus gives a heartfelt speech placing a portrait of their late boss, Howard, on display, and asking Howard's granddaughter to offer her blessings to Mike. With all the formalities over, the celebration kicks off, and the crowd begins to party without restraint. But suddenly, Marcus feels a tightness in his chest, loses control of his body, and collapses. As he slips into unconsciousness, he has an out-of-body experience, watching Mike try to save him. Memories flash before his eyes like a slideshow, and then Marcus finds himself on a strange beach where he sees the late Howard waiting for him, realizing he's near the end. Unexpectedly, the other party just sent a hug. Marcus was overjoyed by these words, and when he opened his eyes to find himself lying on a hospital bed, he ignored Mike beside him and walked out full of excitement. When Mike saw his partner wake up, he hurriedly chased after him, only to find Marcus standing on the edge of the rooftop. Mike was immediately frightened and puzzled, but Marcus didn't care. He bluntly said that he had already died once and now wanted to enjoy life. Though Mike didn't understand why Marcus had changed, he was still happy to see him feeling better. But Marcus warned him that a storm was coming. As if to confirm Marcus's words, the white-haired man, James, led his subordinates to find the accountant of the drug cartel and ordered him to transfer $20 million of the drug lord's funds to himself under Howard's name. The accountant wanted to refuse, but the man behind him killed his bodyguard without hesitation, then grabbed the phone, contacted the accountant's wife, and live-streamed his affair with his lover. This ruthless move left the accountant stunned, and he hurriedly transferred all the assets. But James didn't stop there. He forced the woman to raise the gun and shoot the accountant, then shot the bodyguard's corpse, and finally turned the gun on the woman, creating a staged love-killing scene. Meanwhile, Mike, unaware of this, had already sent Marcus home. Seeing Marcus reunite with his wife, Mike felt relieved and left with Chris. But as soon as Mike closed his eyes, dangerous memories of the past flooded his mind, making it hard for him to relax. He cherished his current happiness, but feared it would be destroyed again, as it had been in the past. The thought of this weighed heavily on him, and he turned to exercise to calm his nerves. At that moment, his phone rang, and it was a broadcast of the police holding a press conference. They announced that Howard had secretly colluded with drug dealers, making Mike furious. He couldn't stand by while his late superior was being slandered. He immediately returned to the police station with Marcus, finding all the top officials gathered, even the FBI director. Ignoring the others, Mike went straight to the current police superintendent, Rita, and asked why he believed the rumors. But the evidence was overwhelming, and Rita was powerless to help. Adam, who was Rita's boyfriend and a mayoral candidate, explained that the police had found Howard's contact information and account details on the dead drug dealer's accountant's phone, proving his long-standing collusion with drug dealers. While everyone argued, Howard's daughter, Judy, burst through the door. She couldn't accept that her father had been falsely accused and was ready to apply for an investigation as a bailiff. Mike wanted to comfort her, but Judy was hostile toward him. But now was not the time to dwell on these things. Mike had to find evidence to clear his former superior's name. He and Marcus headed straight to federal prison to find the criminal, Oman, who was the murderer of Howard. Mike single-handedly asked Oman if there was any evidence to prove Howard's innocence, but Oman's shocking response was in multiple languages. He revealed that because Howard was investigating corruption in the country, he was put on the assassination list by the people behind the scenes. Oman only took money to do the job. This revelation stunned Mike. He never imagined the real mastermind could be so close. Who could it be? Mike pressed Oman for more information, but Oman had only met the person once and didn't know their name. The investigation seemed to hit a dead end, but new clues emerged. James's men were hacking into Howard's computer, trying to confirm his crimes. But as soon as they opened the encryption program, a video was sent directly to them. The hackers quickly tracked the source and found the targets were Mike and Marcus. On the other side, Marcus suddenly received a message from Howard, and he was shocked. He didn't expect his old superior could send messages from the afterlife. Thankfully, Mike was more level-headed and stopped Marcus. They played the video, revealing Howard's backup plan. He knew he was in danger and hoped that after his death, Mike and Marcus would continue the investigation to find the mole in the police station. But first, they needed to prove they were capable. Otherwise, they'd be walking into their own deaths. With new clues, Mike and Marcus were determined to keep moving. They followed instructions to a nightclub to meet Howard's informant. However, the informant didn't give a direct answer, only saying the secret was hidden in something beautiful but immortal. Marcus, impatient with riddles, pulled out his pistol to interrogate, but in the next moment, the informant was shot in the head. Mike was stunned, and seeing James leaving, he and Marcus launched a pursuit. But James's men were lying in wait and opened fire on them. Caught in a hail of bullets, Mike and Marcus took cover. Amidst the chaos, a drink barrel was shot open, and Marcus, tasting the spilled liquid, was suddenly energized, becoming fearless and full of firepower. Seeing how fiercely the two fought, James's men retreated, but Mike wasn't about to let them get away. He and Marcus gave chase, but suddenly, Mike felt dizzy, as if his chest had been struck hard. He collapsed to the ground, unable to move. James took advantage of the situation, escaping by car. Marcus desperately tried to save Mike, but could only watch as the murderer got away. Later, during an examination, Mike was diagnosed with panic disorder, a mental illness that doctors couldn't cure. Then, a police officer discovered a hidden QR code in the flashing lights, which shocked Mike. He immediately had the technician Dom decode it, revealing a new video. In the video, Howard explained that while he didn't know the mole's identity, it was likely a high-ranking official. Years ago, they had confiscated a batch of contraband, which then disappeared, and any investigation was forbidden. Hearing this, Mike asked Dom to gather all the files related to the case, unaware that danger was closing in. Oman, still in prison, was suddenly attacked. Fortunately, he fought off the assailant, but the guards fired tear gas and restrained Oman. The news quickly reached Mike, who rushed to Rita, explaining that Oman was the only person who could prove Howard's innocence. Mike pleaded for his transfer to a safe location. Adam decided to help, and soon a transport plane was ready. Mike and Marcus handed over their weapons, and Oman was locked in an iron cage next to them, but didn't know that James and his men had infiltrated the plane. As soon as they took off, James controlled the pilot, forced him to read a message framing Mike, and then killed him. James then opened the iron box, took Mike and Marcus's pistols, and stormed into the cabin, shooting the agents who couldn't react in time. Chaos erupted. Although Mike and Marcus fought back, the plane spun out of control and they could barely stand. James used the opportunity to parachute out of the plane. The iron cage suddenly slid toward the exit, but Marcus dove to the rescue, and Mike managed to open the cage just in time, narrowly saving Oman. Oman rushed into the cockpit, controlled the plane into the water, and finally picked up one. But as soon as he got ashore, Oman decided to leave. Mike grabbed him and fiercely said that none of them would survive unless they took down the people behind the scenes. The atmosphere grew tense, and Marcus quickly stepped forward to calm them down, bringing them back to their senses. Oman, understanding the gravity of the situation, agreed to return to Miami with Mike. However, that night, the FBI found the crashed plane. Based on the pilot's final words, they concluded that Mike, Marcus, and Oman had fled in fear. Judy immediately ordered a manhunt for them. This played right into James's hands. He decided to escalate the situation further by placing a $5 million bounty on Mike's head within the underworld. The situation spiraled completely out of control. Unaware of this, the three rested by a campfire. Marcus noticed Oman's silence and motioned for Mike to say something. It was then revealed that Oman was actually Mike's son. Years ago, while undercover in a drug trafficking syndicate, Mike fell in love with Oman's mother. However, due to their conflicting identities, they eventually became enemies. This was also the reason why Judy harbored such hostility toward Mike. With Marcus's encouragement, Mike apologized to Oman, admitting he had never fulfilled his responsibilities as a father. But after so many years of pain and betrayal, a simple apology wasn't enough to heal the wounds. Oman, ignoring Mike's attempts to reconcile, stood up and walked into the woods. As dawn approached, the three infiltrated a camp. While Mike and Marcus were changing clothes, they were suddenly held at gunpoint by the residents. But just as the situation reached a standoff, Oman managed to start the car, allowing them to flee. However, as soon as they reached the city, their classic car broke down. Mike remembered a nearby nightclub owned by a friend, planning to borrow weapons and a vehicle. But as soon as Mike began speaking, his friend suddenly drew a gun, intending to hand Mike over for the bounty. This betrayal left Mike cold. He couldn't believe his former friend would sell him out for money. But before he could react, a group of thugs stormed into the room, taking Mike, Marcus, and Oman hostage. Meanwhile, Judy received a tip-off about Oman's location and quickly mobilized a team. Unaware of this, Mike was being forced into a car when suddenly bullets rained down, killing many of the thugs. Another gang had caught wind of the bounty and was attempting to snatch Mike for themselves. But Mike, Marcus, and Oman weren't about to go down without a fight. Marcus floored the accelerator with his hand, crashing the car into the attackers. But just as they began to escape, a Molotov cocktail was hurled from above, forcing Marcus to reverse quickly. Another Molotov exploded, and flames began to engulf the car. Oman kicked open the back door to push the burning box out, only to find himself face to face with Judy's enemy, who was ruthlessly gunning down everyone in sight. In that instant, Judy's hatred surged, and she repeatedly fired her pistol. Although Marcus turned in time, the fire had already burned the engine, and it could explode at any moment. The three had to jump out of the car to escape, waiting for Judy to chase after them. The next morning, Mike and the others found Dom. By this time, Dom had collected all the video materials related to the case as required. The next step was to screen the people in the videos one by one and have Oman personally identify them. This task, though seemingly straightforward, proved to be time-consuming and laborious. They worked from day to night with no progress. Just when they were about to give up, Oman suddenly found a photo. He quickly asked Dom to enlarge it and finally confirmed that James was the client from that year. Dom immediately pulled up more information and discovered that James had once cooperated with the Drug Enforcement Administration of Mexico. However, he was later captured by drug dealers, tortured, and forced to confess everything about his team members. This led to his complete downfall, and he began collaborating with the drug dealers. With the situation now clear, Mike hurriedly contacted Rita, deciding to send James's file the following morning. While the two were talking, Adam suddenly appeared. Rita, suspecting nothing, informed Mike that Adam had key evidence. Unfortunately, James learned of this shortly afterward and immediately sent a large number of his men to kidnap Mike and Marcus's family. Fortunately, Marcus had a camera in his home and became aware of the danger in advance. He quickly informed his son-in-law, a Marine. Upon receiving the news, his son-in-law decisively hid his wife and mother in a closet and then engaged in a bloody firefight to protect them. The crisis was averted, and Marcus sighed with relief, but Mike couldn't calm down. Chris was still unreachable. Meanwhile, Judy's daughter, Kelly, learned that Mike was a wanted criminal. She went to comfort Chris, believing that Mike wasn't the kind of person the authorities claimed he was. While the two were talking, Chris finally heard his phone vibrating, but it was too late. James had appeared quietly, ordering his subordinates to capture Chris. They then picked up the phone and told Mike that if he wanted his wife to live, he would have to hand over Oman and all the files. Upon hearing this, Oman volunteered to sacrifice himself, but McBen, indebted to him, naturally refused. In a moment of panic, Mike had a sudden flash of inspiration. How did James know they had all the files? Marcus was shocked. Could Rita also be a mole? Mike dismissed the idea, knowing that he and Rita had been close for years. However, the people around her were not necessarily trustworthy. Mike dialed Rita again and shared his suspicions. Rita was startled but decided to test it out. She lied that there was a new breakthrough in the case and that she was returning to the police station. Unexpectedly, Adam really did follow her and kept sending messages, which completely chilled Rita. She snatched the phone away, and when Adam realized his cover was blown, he dropped the pretense and attacked her. Luckily, Dom and the others arrived in time and subdued the traitor. Adam was soon escorted to the docks, where Rita pretended to talk to him, successfully collecting a voice sample as Mike had planned. Using Adam's voice, Mike contacted James, claiming that the hideout was exposed and that the hostages needed to be moved out of the country. James fell for the ruse and ordered his men to pack up and leave. As the morning sun rose, Mike and the others prepared to assault James's lair, a deserted, crocodile-themed amusement park. Though rumors suggested that crocodiles still roamed the waters, Mike was undeterred. He decided to take Adam on a seaplane, with Marcus leading the front. Oman would mostly stay hidden in the water, ready to strike at James and his crew, while Dom controlled the drone support. With everything ready, the operation commenced. Oman took his position, and Adam casually stepped out of the plane, just as James and the others appeared with Chris and Kelly. Seeing his wife being held hostage, Mike was filled with rage. However, James was extremely cautious, always keeping Chris between himself and Mike, preventing any clear shot. As they advanced, James suddenly noticed a crocodile swimming toward the dock. Realizing something was amiss, he ordered his men to check it out. Oman, hiding there, was forced to open fire first, breaking their cover. A firefight ensued, with Oman climbing onto the dock and engaging the enemy. Dom dropped bombs from his drone, and Mike and Marcus joined the battle. But the intense action caused Mike's blood pressure to spike, triggering another panic attack. Marcus quickly slapped him back to consciousness, reigniting Mike's determination. With Dom's help, they quickly eliminated the outer enemies. Mike and Oman converged and headed inside. As Dom's drone dropped smoke bombs, they breached the gate without incident. Seeing this, James ordered the hostages to be scattered. Mike tasked Oman with rescuing Kelly, while he and Marcus chased after Chris. Inside the lair, chaos reigned. Adam, hiding outside, tried to escape with the plane, but was intercepted by Rita, who arrived just in time. She fired a grenade, sending the plane crashing into the building. Oman swiftly grabbed Kelly and took cover. Meanwhile, Mike spotted James holding his wife hostage and jumped down to confront him, only to hear the glass shatter beneath his feet. He warned Marcus not to follow, but Marcus, determined to help, fell heavily into the water. As if things couldn't get worse, a crocodile silently approached Marcus, ready to bite. Mike hurriedly jumped down to help, finally driving the crocodile away. At the same time, Oman, fleeing with Kelly, confronted two thugs. Despite being exhausted, he fought them off, even taking a knife for Kelly. Grateful, Kelly helped Oman escape. On the other side, Dom found Adam lying on the ground. As he approached to check on him, Adam shot Dom in the chest. Luckily, Rita arrived in time, kicking Adam into the water, where the crocodiles finished him off. With the crisis nearing an end, Mike and Marcus continued to chase James. Marcus, injured and unwilling to slow Mike down, decided to split up. Stumbling through the bushes, Marcus found himself on a familiar beach. Before he could react, James held a gun to his head. When Mike arrived, he saw James holding both Chris and Marcus hostage, forcing him to choose between his wife or his friend. But Mike had a plan. He shot Marcus in the body armor, then repeatedly fired at James, finally delivering a fatal headshot. But the trouble wasn't over. Judy, who had received an explosion alert, led her team to the scene and followed the blood trail to find the dying Oman. She raised her gun to avenge her father, but Kelly stepped in front, declaring that Oman was her savior and pleading with her mother to let go of the hatred. Her daughter's words softened Judy's heart. She lowered her weapon and decided to let Oman go. With James and Adam's conspiracy revealed, Mike and Marcus successfully cleared their names. As the turmoil subsided, the two bad boys returned to their families, hoping for a peaceful life. But with their luck, trouble is never far behind. But that's a story for another day.
Tonight, tonight.